at the same time. And then he went to NC State, and he has...
You left out a year at Carolina.
How could I have done that?
And then I came to my senses.
That's why I left it out. Anyway, he has degrees in computer science and in graphic design. He began his computer graphics career in New York City with NBC. He worked with NBC Sports and Saturday Night Live, if you can imagine trying to get that crowd to tell him what they needed him to do. So that was an adventure. But he ended up winning 7 Emmys, among other awards there. And then Hollywood called. And he worked at Disney, at DreamWorks. Some of the movies that he did computer graphics or digital design or whatever, he'll define the term. Remember Dinosaur and 101 Dalmatians.
102.
Excuse me. He had to spot the Dalmatians. That's an interesting animal rights story that we might get into after the program. And Kung Fu Panda he made. And then retirement took him to the Palm Springs area. He lives in Palm Desert, where he is a digital artist. And this is some of the work that he has done. This is his book of digital designs. And then has gotten into AI, which he's going to share with us. Shout out to Bill for helping us get set up.
Didn't do anything.
And Wallace asked that there will be time for questions, and he'll let you know when it is. Please speak up. We're all a little bit deaf.
Including me.
Including him. But he'll let us know when it's time. There are handouts, and I have some more over there if you didn't get one, from one of his long-distance colleagues to explain a little bit more about AI in art. Take it away, Wallace.
Well, hi, everybody. Thank you for coming, and I'm really, I can't get in front of the screen.
You wouldn't be.
All right.
There you go. Perfect. Now I can get you both.
So, I've been working for AI for a long time, and the purpose of this talk is to hopefully dispel some of your fears about AI, to give you a little bit of information about AI, and time permitting, at the end, we're going to actually do something with your input. So, you can see that the title of the talk is, If You Can Dream It, You Can Make It. So think about what you would dream as an image, and it could be anything. But we'll save that for the end, time permitting. I know a lot of you are going to get hungry and probably need to leave, but this is a talk I usually do in 2 hours. I'm going to try to compress it to 1 hour. Is the Artists Council, which is a group in Palm Desert that I'm affiliated with. I was on their board for a few years, and then I don't really like being on board, so I stopped. And but I still do all of their graphic design work, and I do a lot of volunteer work there. It's a group of artists that's about 650 people strong, all different kinds of artists, and it's a pretty amazing group. So here we go. So this is me. Linda told you a lot of the stuff. I work in all different kinds of media. I do photography, I do painting, I do digital art. But I've always been a digital artist at heart ever since college. I went to NC State, as Linda said, but I worked as a commercial artist in television and in film for over 40 years, actually about 45 years, in New York and Los Angeles. I lived in New York for 24 years. I lived in LA for 18 years. And so I worked in art direction in New York for television. And then, and Linda mentioned some of the shows that I worked for. And then did a lot of commercials, worked for MTV, worked for VH1, did a lot of work for NBC and CBS, David Letterman, a whole bunch of different groups, a lot of sports work, a lot of Olympics work. And so I've had a lot of different experience, and I consider myself an image processor. And basically, whatever you can do with an image, that's been my work. So this is the first piece of code I ever wrote, visual code. It's right here. That's was at NCSU in 1970. It was using punch cards and a pen plotter. And you can see the computer I used. It was the IBM 360. It was like a refrigerator. It was less powerful than this. And it's kind of hard to see, but it has a few different lines of type, and then I do sort of in-betweening in between them. And I still look at this, and I think it's some of the best work I ever did. But nobody knew what I was doing. And so it was kind of fun being in this like complete adventure land. By the way, if none of this impresses you, the fact that I survived being Linda Opdyke's baby brother. Okay, so what is AI? Basically, it's a machine mimicking the human brain. So it's artificial intelligence. It's a simulation of human intelligence by computers. It should actually say by machines, but computers in our case. So this talk is about what's called generative AI, and that means using AI to make something, and that's all that means. In this case, pictures. So I'm going to talk about that. You can use it, as all of you know, you can use it for writing, you can use it for research, you can use it for all sorts of stuff. But in my case, I use it for making pictures. I use it all the time, every day, for design and for my fine art. So we'll have a little bit of our audience participation here. When do you think that the first machine-made art was? Anybody volunteer?
38.
38? All right, we'll see. Probably around the 1400s. The pendulum, which is a machine, had a piece of charcoal attached to it and made marks on something. It could be a tablet, or it could have been a piece of metal scratching a stone. This is kind of the common knowledge. There's no specific incidence of it, but basically it's just a pendulum hanging and swinging. Looks like a spirograph, right? You remember those from the 1950s? Same deal. Okay. So when do you think the computer was invented?
40s.
40s? Anybody else?
30.
It was 1822, 202 years ago, Charles Babbage. This was actually the machine, the first computing machine. So you're going to start seeing a theme here that a lot of this has been around for a long time. So let's just do one more. When do you think AI was invented?
Last year.
You probably just heard about it last year. It was invented in 1955. It was from this paper. This is actually an excerpt from that paper that was given at Dartmouth College. And if you read this, you probably can't read it from there, but it describes everything that AI is. And it was a bunch of nerds from all over that put together this scientific paper. that was presented at Dartmouth College. So when people say we need to regulate AI, the ship's kind of sailed a long time ago. So you can see that all this technology has been around for a while. So the reason that it's getting popular now is for a bunch of reasons. A whole bunch of stuff sort of came together. One is the internet, fast computers, more applications for AI, and AI is now everywhere, in every industry, in everything. It's going to completely change the world, hopefully for the better. And so all this technology has been around, but and then also the last thing is that the coding, the algorithms have gotten more sophisticated. And the tools to make the algorithms has gotten more sophisticated. So you can see that all this has been around for a long time. It just suddenly in the news for a whole bunch of reasons. And part of my job as a teacher is to give you some information and let you that'll hopefully calm you down a bit, and also battle the amount of disinformation that's in the press, including very reputable press. So you have to be really careful what you listen to in the press, because they're there to sell ads, and they love to fan the flames of fear in order to sell their ads. So a lot of times when you hear people parroting what's in the press, they don't really know what they're talking about. So, and that's, hopefully I'll help you a little bit with that. Okay, so how is AI useful? Well, it's really good at gathering a whole bunch of information, learning how to rebuild that information, or actually construct that information, and that's the heart of it. That's called machine learning. I don't know exactly how it works. I don't know. The algorithms are extremely complex, but it will take all that information, understand how to reconstruct it, and then it'll make something new. And that's what AI is. And the thing about the difference between AI and Googling something, you could Google and get a whole bunch of different images. Those are already existing images. When you're using AI, you're making something brand new, and using the information that it gathers from those other images. And so here's some things that AI is really bad at. One is it doesn't understand human emotion. It's really bad at eye contact. It has some trouble with spatial recognition, and sometimes body parts can be a little weird with it. And then it doesn't understand humor, what humor is, or irony. And also it doesn't know what truth is. And that's, obviously one of the dangerous areas about AI. It can't discern any of that stuff. All it can do is gather data and then synthesizing something new from that data. So it's only as good as the data that it gathers. If there's misinformation that it's gathering, it's going to spit out more misinformation. So here's kind of an example. I actually did this image on my iPhone in about 15 seconds. And I was on a boat on the Mekong River in Cambodia. And I had read an article about the Queen of Denmark, and I was thinking, what would it be like to have a big party at the palace? And so I typed in Queen of Denmark, dancing, everybody laughing. I think that's all I typed in, and that's what I got. So it's kind of fun, it's kind of a great image, but when you start looking at it really closely, it starts to break down a little bit, and you can see some of the bad parts of AI here. If you look at her, the gather in her dress, it's a little weird. Her teeth are a little strange. Look kind of like an animal's teeth. There's this weird white thing there. I'm not sure what that is. There's like a kind of an extra leg here. You can see where their hands are joined. It's kind of doesn't really know. One of the common things with AI is a lot of times you get like extra fingers on a hand, stuff like that, because it doesn't really know. It can only put stuff together from the data that it has. But you can see you can get a good start on an image, and this is done in like 10 seconds. And this is the thing about AI, it's very fast. And the reason it's fast is because there are these vast libraries that have been put together correlating images to words. And I know in the piece of software that, another piece of software I'm going to show you that I use, there are over 5 billion pairs of images to words. So when you type in a word, it knows, that's how it knows where to look. Those have already been associated. And so those models, they're called models, they've already been built. So that's why it's so fast. Okay, so here's, again, some pros and cons. If you can dream it, you can make it. Whatever you can think of, type it in. Easy, fast, text to image. You type in the text, it gives you the image. And one of the things that I use it for all the time is it can come up with very unexpected things that I would never think of. And sometimes they can be really cool. And, you know, good art is about accidents. So I use it all the time. You know, it'll come up with stuff, and I'll show an example of that later. You can do it in a variety of formats. It can be long, it can be tall, it can be square, different resolution. And one of the cool things about one of the pieces of software that I use is it will store, with the image, it will store what you use to get, it'll store the stuff that you typed in with that. So if you think, oh, that image was so cool, what did I type in there? It'll tell you. And there's another way that it's called a reverse engineer, a reverse prompt, where you can feed it an image and it'll tell you the words that you should type in to get it. So it's kind of cool. And by the way, I'm going to try to keep this simple because I know a lot of you are not tech savvy. And if you fall asleep, that's fine, but try to wake up at the end because it's going to be some interesting stuff. So hopefully what we're going to do is I'll go through the slide deck, and then we're going to actually do some AI on the fly. So continuing with the cons, the copyrights, let me finish with the pros. I already did that. The cons, copyrights can be debated in court. It's a super gray area right now because it's so new. There's a lot of media hysteria, and you'll find that the loudest voices are usually people who know the least, like anything else. This is a big issue, plagiarism. Is it plagiarism? And referencing other artists, some artists are very sensitive about that. But if you're an artist and if you've ever looked at another artist's work, you've already done what AI does. It's the same thing, you're just using a machine. So it's very powerful that way. And then it's also flat images. It's not like a painting with like texture and all that kind of stuff. It's just like a JPEG file that you get. It's hard to control. Sometimes you get very unexpected results. And if you need to do like specific placement of things and stuff like that, AI is not the tool for it. You need to get the kernel of the idea with AI, and then you can use other digital tools to do that. And then the artifacts that show up with the extra legs and fingers and all that. And some people say that AI images have no soul, and they actually don't have any soul because they don't know what soul is. So All right, this might be a good time for questions if anybody wants to ask any questions.
Do you have to get specific software to access AI?
Yes, she asked if you need.
Question. Repeat the question.
I am.
Oh.
She asked if you need specific software. Yes, you do. And I have one piece of software that I use on my computer, and I have another one that I use on my iPhone. The iPhone one is a lot simpler. It's called Wonder. Costs $30 once. And then the other one is called Midjourney, and that's the one I use on my computer, and that's a subscription. You pay like $4 a month or $10 a month, something like that, for unlimited use. So here's a couple of words that a few words that I'm going to be using a little bit, but a prompt, and that's the thing you type in to get what you want. So that's how you tell it what you want. And it does a couple of things. Tells the machine what to look at, like the information to gather, and then it tells it what to do with that information. And so you're going to build something new. The database is just the stuff that it looks at to gather the information. And then machine learning is what it does to actually figure out how to build something new, how to rebuild that stuff. So this is going to be about as complicated as it gets. So here's an example of an AI prompt and an image. This is something that I did. This is just straight out of my computer. It took me about 10 seconds. You can see the text on the left. A few randomly spaced people going back in the distance, carrying yellow umbrellas in thick fog and rain. Camera from 45 degrees above. Close up with blurred background, strong backlight. Walking towards a large luminous golden temple, dramatic light, fine detail. So that's what I typed in, and that's what I got.
All of that is false.
What do you mean?
All of that doesn't exist. You just produced it.
It's new.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't look at that and say, gosh, what a great, wonder where that was.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
No. It's kind of a cool image, I think, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is.
And the thing about AI is when you do it, it gives you a whole bunch of different variety, whole different bunch of versions of what you put in. And that's one of the things that can make it really inspirational.
If you put that prompt in 5 times, you get the same image or 5 different ones.
You get 5 different ones. There are ways to narrow down on that image, and I won't get into that because it's a little out of the scope of this talk. But there are ways to take that image and do like get narrower and narrower on the versions of it, so there's not so much variety. Okay, so this is kind of the heart of the matter here. This is sort of a typical AI prompt with a typical result. This one I did in Midjourney, it's kind of nice. I've never used it. I mean, I never did anything to it. Normally, when I get an AI image, I never use it straight. I always do other stuff to it with digital tools, or sometimes I'll print the image on canvas and paint on top of it, or add, paint drips. I'll show you a few of those examples. So that's a prompt. That was one of the terms that we were talking about. That's how you tell it what you want. So if you go back here, prompt, that's the first thing. And it looks at the database, figures out how to build the thing. That's the machine learning, and that's the magic. And then it gives you your picture. So literally 10 seconds, sometimes faster, really depends on how fast. You have to be on the internet to do it. And so even on my iPhone, I'm on the internet to do it. But fortunately, in the middle of the Mekong, we had a really good internet connection. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this, because this is one of the big issues about AI, but it's been around a lot longer than AI. It's just about what is plagiarism. What does that mean? people, some people say, well, I don't want you taking my art and copying it. Well, I don't need AI to do that. I can just look it up. Anything that's on the internet is already in the public domain. So I could just take your work. I could, download something from the internet, print it out, sign my name to it. Don't need AI for that. So if you look here, this is a very famous painting by Roy Lichtenstein. If you look here, this is an illustration by Mike Sikowski that it came from. So you tell me, isn't it kind of the same? Is it kind of plagiarism? Never was a court case, no problem. And then, of course, the famous one is the studio photo by Sam Shaw. He was just a studio photographer. He took that picture. Andy Warhol took it and made, like a million different variations of it. No lawsuit, because, so what I'm trying to do is trying to get you to think about what actually plagiarism is. And the answer is, I don't know. But it's a gray area. This is an image that I made, and I just recently sold it. And it's printed on canvas. I did a whole bunch of digital work to this. The shadows were kind of funky, so I went into my Photoshop type program and fixed all these shadows and everything. I printed it on canvas, added some silver paint to simulate the fog, and painted a little bit on the pink umbrellas. But what I do, and I always do this when I do AI, is I put it into what's called Google Lens, and it's just part of Google. If you go in and there's a little camera icon on the right side of the box, and it will look for anything that's out there that looks like this. And so this is what I came up with. That's what Google came up with. So you can see there's some similarities, but it's not the same. Now, I don't know if any of you are artists here, but if you take any of your work and put it into Google Lens, I promise you, you will find something that looks like it. Any piece of artwork, any photograph, there's other stuff out there that looks like it. So when I do it, I try to make it as different as possible. And generally, so far, the courts have been very lenient about that. They say, well, it's altered enough, so, you can, it's legal, but it's not copyrightable. If you do it with AI, it can't be copyrighted. So I don't know if you can see this little picture here, but this is by a collage artist named Kurt Schwitters. He's the most famous collage artist in the world. He's Swiss or German, I can't remember which, from the 30s and 40s. If you look at this image, it's all stuff he tore out of magazines. He didn't do any of it, but he put it together in a way that's unique. So here's a collage that he did. It's probably worth about $50 million. It's never going to be a court case about that. So I'm not trying to draw a line here about what plagiarism is. I'm just trying to get you to think about it a little bit, because it's a very gray area. All right. Here's a famous case where this was a really complicated case, but I'll try to simplify it. The photograph on the left, Lynn Goldsmith took, and she licensed it to Vanity Fair magazine. And all was well and good. And then later on, they did another article. Vanity Fair years later did an article about Prince, and they decided to use this image, which is a Warhol image, Warhol silkscreen, and she sued them, and she won. She sued the Warhol Foundation. Not sure why she didn't sue Vanity Fair, but anyway, she sued the Warhol Foundation for this image, and she won. And she got quite a settlement for it. So there's another example of a court case was brought and the original artist won. So Basically, it's all over the map. So here's what the law is. While the Copyright Office's actions indicate that it might be challenging to obtain copyright protection for AI-generated works, the issue remains unsettled. There, is that definitive? So basically, we don't know. It's probably going to be a lot of legal battles over it in the future. If you think about it like sampling and, in music and all that kind of stuff, and every invention since the dawn of man, including cave drawings, somebody has objected to. Cave drawings put the storytellers out of work. The printing press put the scribes out of work. The camera put the painters, or they were worried it was going to put them out of work. The copy machine, the computer, every single new technology has always met with tremendous resistance. I remember when I was at NC State in the early 70s, actually the late 60s, I took an engineering mechanics class, and we had to use a slide rule. And it was about the time that the pocket calculator was invented. And everybody freaked out. All the professors freaked out. No, you cannot use a pocket calculator in class. That's cheating. And so I asked you, where are the slide rules now? It's called progress. And here's the other thing about progress. Some people say, well, it's going to put me out of work. And the answer is it might. But when you think about it, every single advance in technology has always put some people out of work, but generally it has created more work. Right now, with all of the new everything going on, we have 3.8% unemployment, which is historically unbelievably low. So, yeah, maybe some people got put out of work, but it basically creates more work usually. And there's one of the cases of unethical use of, there's a few cases of unethical use of AI. One is taking somebody's image and putting other words to them, animating them to get them to do things that they didn't do without their permission. If they have their permission, it's okay. That's unethical because you're basically creating misinformation. So in any case where misinformation is being created, where a lie is being created, or where you're just being lazy, like if you say, give me a Warhol, how is that being creative? You're basically just completely piggybacking on somebody's work. And then I'm sure there's a whole lot of issues for those of you who are teachers with term papers and any kind of reports and all that kind of stuff. There are issues for sure. There's no question. But the thing is that AI is a tool. It's not good or evil. The only thing is the people who actually use the tool. Are they good or evil? Is what they do good or evil? A hammer can smash somebody in the head, or you can build a house. You're going to regulate a hammer. So it's here. It's never going anywhere. Am I? I'll try to speed up.
You're good.
Okay, so I really want to try to get to the practical part of this, and a lot of you are going to want to go to dinner. So I'm going to try to get through it.
There is no dinner tonight.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
We'll delay dinner.
Oh, okay. I don't want you to be starving. So this is everybody's biggest fear, right? Being ruled by machines, being obsolete, having your value taken away. This is the HAL 9000 computer from 2001: A Space Odyssey, where the computer took over the spaceship, tried to kill everybody, and impose its own will. And this is everybody's fear about AI right here, in a nutshell. It won't happen unless we're just like incredibly stupid. And that's possible. But my prediction is it won't happen. And you hear in the press every day, you hear 20 scientists have signed a letter saying that AI is going to kill us all, or we're going to have robot overlords, or it's going to put us all out of work. And I'm not sure who those scientists are, but the press loves that stuff. And you hear Elon Musk say, "Oh, the biggest danger to society is AI." Well, he has his own private AI company that he uses for everything. And he's competing with the public AI companies. So let's just have a little context here. And there's always like 25 tech execs, you hear it in the news every day. 25 tech execs say that we're all going to die. Take it with a grain of salt.
Well, we all are. We are.
Yeah, we are going to die, but yeah. All right, I'm going to show you this. Actually, let's go back. Any questions about what I've talked about so far? About the ethics of AI, or
How do we separate the wheat from the chaff?
you can't, and that's one of the issues, because she asked, how do you separate the truth from the untruth? That's not AI's job. It's just a tool, That's humans' job, and it's a very good question, because that's kind of the heart of what people object to with AI. But remember, AI is just a tool. It's not something that's trying to take over. It's just a tool. It's actually pretty dumb when you look at it from my level and use it as much as I do. It's not really human. So it's just it's a little closer to human than computers have been before. All right. Any other questions? Nope? Okay. All right. I'm going to show you this for 2 seconds. Don't look at it. It's how AI actually works. Forget about it. Okay. For our purposes, this is kind of like boiling it down, how it actually works. So you input some text, or you can actually input an image too, and you can have it do stuff to that. It has a database that it goes and looks at for information. Machine learning, which is the heart of AI, so it learns how to reconstruct all that stuff, and then it makes something new. That's the whole workflow. That's what it is. And it's actually very simple. We don't have to know all of the stuff in the background. And I don't know all the stuff in the background. I've delved into it and I've gotten scared. So that's basically it. You're just typing in some stuff. The machine does the work to get a new image. That's all there is to it.
Can I ask a question about that though? Is it the database that gets more sophisticated and that then when we do the machine learning image
Yeah.
that we should
The question is it the database that gets more sophisticated? Yeah. And what's happened is, like, these databases have been created that associate words with pictures, like I was talking about. And those get more and more sophisticated. And also the machine learning that it does to know how to make those models to build new stuff, that's gotten a lot more sophisticated. That's a very good question, too. You should ask all the questions. Anybody else?
What scared you when you looked into the database further?
Oh, it's not, I didn't look into the database. I was looking into the machine learning algorithm. It's mind-blowingly complicated. That's what scared me, not the any of the other stuff about it.
Okay.
It's just super complicated, and it's for much smarter people than me.
Just one question.
Yeah.
Does the same prompt produce the same image every time?
No,
Okay.
generally not. You'll get something similar. And like I said, there's ways to refine an image once you get it, to narrow that, do more things that are similar to it.
Right.
In the software that I'm going to show you, it has that kind of thing where you can do like smaller and smaller variations on an image. So, and it'll save that prompt.
Mhm.
But generally, if you type in, like if I say, you know, bouquet of flowers, it's going to give me a completely different image every time.
Mhm.
Okay, here's some stuff that I've done, with the exception of this one. The paper that you guys have on your table was written by this guy. And it's Alan Spazzali. He's a colleague of mine who lives in Barcelona. He's actually Italian, but and he's a really good artist. And we communicate a lot. And I handed out this sheet because I think it's pretty good at boiling down AI and the value of AI. So the first piece, this is part of a show that I did in Palm Springs at a place called Grand Central, which is a restaurant that has a huge gallery in back. I did the original, I don't have the original AI that I did. I did a lot of modification to it, printed it out on canvas, and then I painted a whole bunch of more stuff on top. So that's what that was, and also how I did the pink umbrellas. I seem to have an obsession with umbrellas in my phone. I live in the desert, so maybe that's what I wish for sometimes.
Pretty cool collage there.
And then,
Wallace?
yeah.
When you say painted, you mean actually painted?
Yeah, physically painted on top of it with acrylics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's nice to see you.
Good to see you too, thank you.
Wes is an old high school chum of mine. And so, yeah, so that was, I just had it printed. I have an art printer in Palm Springs that I use. I don't print it myself. This one, I had just come from the Hopper exhibition in New York at the Whitney. And I was just thinking about Hopper, and I was talking about it. And I was thinking, yeah, give me some Hopper bathers and stuff. And that's now to me is a little bit unethical. I never reference other artists anymore. I always try to describe things in my own abstract artistic terms. But it's kind of a cool image. I would never use it because I think it's too derivative of Hopper. But it was early on when I was just experimenting and doing some stuff. This was a very simple prompt. I think I just said something like palm trees in Palm Springs, blue and yellow. I think that's all I typed in.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that exact image, but I got something very close to it. I did a lot of digital work on it to remove some little stuff I didn't like and move some stuff around. This piece is a little more complicated. I was working with collage in AI, and I was thinking about New York and my time in New York. And I was just doing some squares of color, and honestly, I don't remember what the prompt was. But then I did a whole bunch of painting on top. This little square here is actually a piece of another painting that I did, another print. Added some silver paint on top, added some color drips, and painted some more colors over here. And then this little piece here, which you can't see from where you are, is actually a ticket to Windows on the World, which was at the top of the World Trade Center, the old one, which I had. And I was just thinking about New York and skyscrapers and stuff like that. So it was but I got the inspirational base first, and then I just added a whole bunch of other stuff to it. Here is a much more simple image, but I did something very similar. I was just talking about, I don't remember the prompt, but something about simple geometric shapes, maybe something about flight. I don't remember. But I added paint on top, and I added this little yellow thing is actually sparkly. So I added that.
Did you copyright all these?
I haven't. I don't copyright my art. So, yes.
What if you were just interested or intrigued about this? How would you start as a novice? What would you need to have as equipment?
If you have an iPhone, I would just start on there. It's so easy.
But you need a program.
Wonder. The app's called Wonder. It's $30 once. That's it. Very simple.
Play Store?
What?
Do you get it from the Play Store or whatever?
App Store.
App Store.
Well, it has to be an iPhone, and you get it from the Apple App Store. And then this upper one is also a little bit more complicated. This was an image that Alan created, and he was working with the idea of French Impressionism or something like that in watercolor. I took it, and by the way, that's him, so he's really easy to work with. He's a very handsome guy. I took the image and did some more work on it. I painted out some stuff that was in the background here that was distracting. I zhuzhed the colors a little bit. There was a little weirdness on his hat that I got rid of and stuff like that. And then I had it printed on watercolor paper. Looks great. So there's a lot of different paths, but the point is I never use it straight out of the box. For me, it's just a tool. So I'll use it for an inspiration sometimes. I'll use it to get an image that I want sometimes. But I almost always do more stuff to it. Is that plagiarism? I don't know. You're using existing art on the internet that's in public domain anyway, if you put it on the internet, and you're learning how to make new art. So that's that. Okay, so here's the references I was talking about. Midjourney is a little bit complicated to get into, and if you're not computer savvy, it might be a little bit confusing. But I can't explain why it's confusing now because it's a whole topic of conversation. But just go to midjourney.com or look at a YouTube video and it'll tell you how to get started. Costs $10 a month. I also subscribe to their magazine, which is $4 a month. And it's just a magazine full of images with the prompts that created the images. And then that's my email. And please, 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 please feel free to email me with questions.
What's the magazine?
Midjourney. All right. So that's the end of the slide talk. For those of you who need to go to dinner, please feel free. Now, we're going to create some stuff. So for those of you who have time to stay, think of something that you would like to see, and we'll do it. Let me just get set up here.
A snake on sand slithering.
Hang on, hold that. I've got two different windows here. Let's see. Hang on. Okay, please speak up loudly.
Beach.
What were you saying?
The beach.
A beach?
Yeah.
Just a beach?
Picnic.
A beach along North Carolina, moon brightly shining.
Okay, that's a good one.
Turtles.
On a jet ski.
Children playing.
Hang on. Let's keep it simple at first, okay? With moon shining and turtle. So now what it's going to do is it's going to go look at its database. It's going to look at the words that we just put in. It's going to look in all the folders and find out what those words, what images those words are associated with. Now this is just starting up.
There they are, hatched, go into the ocean.
So voila.
Yeah.
See how fast that is?
Hilton Head Beach.
So
Bertie mentioned something about textiles. Could you design a dress for, formal party?
Sure, you can, but you can't get too specific about, as far as exact measurements and stuff like that. But yeah, sure. You want to try that?
Yeah.
All right.
Just color-wise or whatever.
What do you want? What do you want to? What's your idea?
My favorite, pink and purples and bright colors.
Say again.
Pink and purples, really bright colors.
How about just bright colors?
My daughter's in the textile industry.
Yeah, I was a textile designer for 7 years. Bright
Flowy.
colored, and what is it? What kind of dress? What is it?
For a formal party.
Formal party.
Birthday is coming up.
Flowy.
Big one.
Silky.
Okay, it's got to be flowery.
Silky. Flowy.
We're in the South, it's not
Revealing.
Yeah.
That's one thing that actually AI does not like is anything that's. One thing that it really hates is the word breast. I've discovered, and it won't let you do it. It won't let you do it because it thinks you're trying to create porn. So there's a bunch of keywords like that that are kind of hot topics. All right, let's just go with this. Bright colored, formal, flowy party dress. Let's see what we got. And it's not doing it. Let's see. Oh, that's because I have a typo. It's imagine. All right, here we go.
still
Yeah.
Pinks and purples, but
Order one for your granddaughter.
beautiful.
$29.99. So you see how quick it is, and you can refine these pictures in a whole bunch of different ways. You had mentioned pink and purple. We could put that in there. We'll try it. I'll just show you one example of this. Instead of brightly colored, we'll say pink and purple. All right. You see, it kind of goes through these iterations, and it's doing these sort of computer things where it's trying to figure out if it's got the right thing.
What do the U1, 2, 3, 4, the V1, 2 at the bottom?
The U's are upscaling, so if you want a really high resolution version of the picture, then those are pictures 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can press that. And actually, let's do one. Pick one that you like.
U3.
U3, okay. So let's do U3. So, okay, we got an upscale version there. And you'll notice there's a different menu down below now. You can zoom out. Let's just try that. Zoom out 2 times. That'll put it in full frame. So it gives you 4 variations, but she's more centered in frame now, with more space around her. All right, so that's finished. Let's try one more. Anybody have an idea?
Music. How does it affect music?
Well, it's usable in music. That's out of the scope of this lecture.
Okay.
But you can do exactly the same thing with music. It'll look. I'm sure there are databases for that. I don't really know, but I'm sure the internet's been scoured for every song. They've been classified into folders. You type country and western music to with sad song, or whatever you want, or dramatic, or with a truck, or an old hound dog, and it'll generate it. It does it. I mean, it doesn't do it in this program because this program is all visual.
Yeah.
But you can do that. Yes, ma'am.
Well, taking her point, if you did that and you put together two different pieces of existing music as your own, which you've done in your art, is that a problem?
You're not just putting them together, though. You're not just combining two images. That's not what it's doing.
But the music, are you combining?
Same deal. You're creating something new. So it's not just a collage of two different things or a few different things. It's actually, with the machine learning, it's learning how to make a song, and then with what you tell it to do, it'll make a new song.
There you go then.
If you were to take one of those images and have it made into a dress
Mhm.
and then put it on the market to
Mhm.
sell, is that okay, or would you be violating?
My guess is it would be fine.
Mhm.
Because you're really creating, let me just blow one of these guys up. So they're all very similar, but I'll take the third one. Now, you see also the V things down there, that allows you to make finer variations on any one of those images. So you could, let me just blow this up. 1 sec. Sorry. Let's take the fourth one. Just say we like that one. All right. So, all right. I don't know if I can make this bigger, but yeah, why not? I mean, it's something new.
Mhm.
It's looked at other people's work and figured out how it works, but sure. There could be a court case about it. Maybe we'd have to put it into Google Image and see if there's a lot of stuff out there like it.
Right.
It might be considered copying.
Too close. Mhm.
But generally, if your prompt is exact enough, and if you're coming up with new ideas, you're going to get a new image. And that's really what it's all about.
So if you wanted to come up with a poem about somebody for their wedding anniversary, birthday, you put in facts about them, would they come up with a poem about it?
Well, if you're going to do a poem, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things, there's a whole bunch of different applications, but one of them is if you want to come up with a really cool signature for yourself, you just type in the type style, the kind of type, and your name, and you get this really nice signature. Yes, sir.
There are fabrics. I come from a company called Burberry. There are fabrics that are, you can't copy it because we'll go after you. Copyrighted, I guess.
Well, you're not copying it.
If you put in Burberry check, it's going to come up on there.
Probably, but I think that would be an unethical use. Let's
Yeah,
try.
they're
To kill those people off,
Well, let's try it just and see what we got. So Burberry check
Let's see if we come
or
up.
Burberry plaid.
Burberry plaid.
By the way, I have 2 Burberry shirts. All right, let's do it.
What's the implication for the design industry in fabrics and dresses and such? If you can bring up multiple choices on this project, does that not diminish the importance of the Paris designers?
Yeah, because it's less original. I mean, if you say, give me, a Burberry check, I'll do that.
Yeah, same sort of thing.
You're referring to somebody's specific's work, and I think that's unethical.
Yeah.
Same thing as if you refer to a specific artist. Same thing.
Yeah.
That's why I like to describe things in the terms that I have for my art in general terms, because I think that's more original. But let's do this and see what we get.
But while you're looking, I'll give you an example. There's Adidas, correct? Adidas had 3 lines on it. In the shoe, you pick up these 3 stripes, right? The designer Tom Brown, who's very popular, owned by Xenia.
Yeah.
He put 3 stripes on one of his coats or whatever he was doing.
Yeah.
Adidas went after him.
Yeah.
He said, no, you're stealing our registered trademark.
What?
He won. Well, he didn't win anything, but he
Tom Brown
doing
won.
it. And they dropped it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Depends on the court.
I was surprised they dropped it, but I
Sure.
think they dropped it.
Depends on the court. Depends on the judge.
Yeah.
Depends on how much, how good your lawyers are.
How much you want to spend?
So here's some Burberry plaids.
Check.
Checks.
Not a plan.
Okay.
You can just put in the colors, the black, tan, orange, check.
Sure, you can do that.
Then you would probably be okay.
No. If it's set in a certain, the distances between the lines, it's registered trademark.
Yeah, in this particular case, you're actually referencing a specific brand and a specific work. And I consider that unethical. So I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes, but you can see how it can be used. So sure, we could copy a Burberry check, but we don't need AI to do that. I can just take a picture and change the colors, or whatever.
I attended a funeral. I saw the original obituary, and then they put it into AI, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was funny. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
And
Probably using ChatGPT.
okay, I have no idea. But
Yeah.
I just thought, oh my goodness.
There's a really good one that you should look at, and it's free for text. It's called Copilot. It's brand new. It's from Microsoft, I think, and it's free. So you can download that app, and it does fantastic writing.
And it's being used in medical writing
Yeah.
in Charlotte.
And the thing is that AI does boilerplate stuff really well. So yeah, a lot of legal assistants are probably going to be put out of business. But it's a powerful tool. There'll probably be some other thing that'll arise out of it. So yeah, AI will change everything, and for the good and for the bad. Yes, ma'am.
I understand that you did this NBC.
Did what?
Well,
I didn't design it.
when the colors changed,
No, I didn't design it. I worked on it. I mean, I used it.
when the colors changed on the peacock, Wallace is what she's talking about. When the colors changed, and I watched you work, because they changed the background to blue or something like that.
Well, I worked on that logo a lot. I did a lot of animated versions of it, but I didn't change the logo.
What was the little white?
The little what?
The little, like a little white out of one of the segments.
It's a peacock.
Are you talking about the peacock's beak? There's a shape that goes up like that, and then there's a little, that's the peacock's beak. NBC's peacock. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the work that I've done is not actually designing logos. I do a lot of animated logos that already exist. So let's do one more. Yes, sir.
If you were to put King Charles in there, there's a million pictures of King Charles, I'm sure that.
Sorry. No.
My question is, at what point does a person become popular enough to show up? If we put
You'll get King Charles.
like if you did Wallace Colvard standing next to King Charles, what happened? Will it know what you?
It doesn't know who I am.
But you do.
But that's my question. At what point does a person become famous enough that it does?
I don't know.
Oh.
By the way, I was born about 5 hours away from King Charles. And I always told my mother that they switched the babies, and then as I got older, I changed my mind.
You won.
But what if you wanted to, but you know you, so what if you wanted to generate an image of you standing next to King Charles?
You can do that. I don't know how to do it with Midjourney. The thing that you saw at the beginning of my slideshow, I'll go back to that. If it's still up. There it is. So, this image here, there it goes, is an AI image.
Okay.
And there was some little app that was, I just found it on the internet somewhere, where you could put in your own picture, and you can input your own pictures. You can also input your own art if you're an artist, and you can get variations on that. You can also input your own music and get variations on that. You can put in something that you've written, like a poem or something like that, and you can get variations on that. And that's one of the ways that AI can be really inspiring, because it'll come up with stuff that you never thought of, and that happens to me all the time.
So I can put a picture in that it gets rid of all my wrinkles and makes me 30 years younger and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, I did it. So sure. All right, I think that's about all the time we got. I am going to show you one more thing, and I know a lot of you have to go to dinner, but I want to show you something about the future of AI that's kind of interesting. Let me just set it up. I think you're going to like this. And feel free to go if you need to go. So.
Is AI something our grandchildren in college or high school should really get involved in? Certainly.
Well, it's going to be part of their lives, so they have no choice. All right, where is it?
I asked Harris's grandson, who's in high school, if he uses ChatGPT, and he said, I use it every night for my homework. Your grandchildren are already using it.
It's completely everywhere and everything.
If you can trim it, would it help my golf handicap?
Possibly. It's really good for research. I know that. All right, I'm going to get an ad here first. See if it'll play this. It's a little slow. Okay, here we go. Oh, come on. Skip the ad. This is YouTube, so it's going to play an ad first. Okay. Tyler Perry was going to build an $800 million facility in Atlanta for film production and television production. He took a look at this tool. See that little short prompt there? I'll go back. Let me go back a little bit. He took a look at this tool and he said, I'm not going to build it because this is the future. This does not exist yet. This is in research right now. What this tool does, it's called Sora, and S-O-R-A, and it will produce, you can type in this, and you'll get a 1-minute clip of what you see. So you can see from that little short prompt, this is what they got. Here's another one. Golden retrievers playing in the snow. So, but you'll notice something about this, which is that they're not looking at each other. It's quite beautiful, you know, with all the snow and everything. Spatially, it's a little bit strange, but they're not really reacting to each other, and that's pretty typical of AI. Now, this reel is 10 minutes long, so I'll play as much as you want to see, but it's all really impressive. Because you'll see that it's a lot of different styles, it's a lot of different subject matters. Here's one, just a simple wildlife and along this river, I can't remember the name of it. Here's a little one, Petri dish with a bamboo forest growing.
Yeah.
Red foxes. It does surrealism really well because it doesn't react to anything that's strange. It just puts it together. Sorry.
They don't seem to be reacting to each other. They're sort of like in their own little space.
Yeah. That's because AI doesn't understand interaction like that. You can tell it to say interacting, but they won't automatically do it. Now here's a really nice one. This is California coast, I believe. Well, anyway, this one's really impressive. Just give me a movie trailer for a space movie. How else would you do this? You know, it would cost you millions to shoot it.
Yep.
You just type it in, you get this.
Oh, that's amazing.
Close up of 2 pirate ships fighting and a cup of coffee. Now this is coming down the pike. I don't know when, but it's in development right now. And this is kind of a leaked tape, so don't tell anybody you saw it. Pretty impressive, right?
Yeah.
And you'll notice that the camera's even moving a little bit for realism. This is this is what a lot of typical AI looks like. You'll see a lot of sort of game fantasy stuff. And that's mostly because most of the people using AI are 14-year-old boys to try to create, you know, women to do stuff. So you'll see a lot of that. It does fantasy really well. But you can work in any style. It could be watercolor, it could be photographic. Yeah, here's like a little animation thing. This one's pretty complicated, but it's a really great use of it. Like, where did it find that topography? Where did it? I don't know. It has some really cool database somewhere.
So do you think all special effects in movies in the future will be done this way?
The thing about it is that you can't get really specific, but you can produce things and you can tweak them. I know one use in movies that they're using it for a lot is for storyboarding, for creating elements in storyboards, because it's inspirational. Sometimes they will come up with stuff that you never thought of.